Why do your worst decisions feel completely logical while you are making them? You know the moment. Your heart is moving faster than the room. Someone says one sentence, and suddenly every old frustration has evidence. You write the message. You make the accusation. You walk out. And for a few hot minutes, the choice does not feel emotional at all. It feels obvious, necessary, almost intelligent. Then the room cools, the consequences remain, and you are left trying to understand why the person who made that decision felt so much like you. Chen was about to lose a colleague's trust, a major business partner, and a small piece of her daughter's faith in her all before lunch. And the most dangerous part was this. She believed she was being rational. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. In this episode, you will learn why emotion can disguise itself as evidence, how pressure activates biases you cannot feel while they are operating, and one simple pause that can stop a temporary feeling from becoming a permanent cost. At 8:12 on a Tuesday morning, Maya stepped into Lumen's glass conference room carrying 2 coffees and the private satisfaction of being prepared. Lumen made software for families caring for aging parents, medication lists, appointment notes, emergency contacts. The 1,000 pieces of responsibility that usually lived in one exhausted daughter's head could finally be shared. For 18 months, Maya had led the design of Lumen Circle, the company's most ambitious launch. 3 pilot clinics were testing it. Investors were watching. Adrian Voss, Lumen's founder, had called it the product that would make the company impossible to ignore. On the screen, however, was a red number, 27%. That was how many pilot families had stopped using a new consent screen before completing it. Lena Ortiz, Lumen's research lead, sat at the far end of the table. She looked tired. We changed the language Friday, Lena said. Families think we're asking permission to sell their medical information. We need to pause enrollment and test the wording. Maya put down the coffees. We did test it. We tested comprehension, Lena said. Not trust. Those are different. Adrian leaned back. He did not look at Maya. He looked at the number. How did we miss that? It was a question addressed to the room. But Maya felt it enter her body as an accusation. 3 nights earlier, Daniel had asked whether she would be home for June's school audition. Maya had said, of course, with the impatience of a person who wanted credit for caring before she had actually rearranged anything. The night before that, her father had called twice. She had watched his name disappear from the screen because she needed to finish the launch brief. And now Adrian had asked, how did we miss that? The answer could have been, because complicated work exposes what early tests cannot. Because language about privacy carries emotion as well as meaning. Because a good team finds problems before a full launch. But that was not the answer Maya heard. What she heard was, you failed. Everyone can see it. Lena warned you. She is about to replace you. The research recommendation changed 3 times, Maya said. We cannot keep redesigning the product every time 5 users get nervous. Lena's eyes moved from Maya to the table. It lasted less than a second, but something in the room closed. Robert Greene begins The Laws of Human Nature with an uncomfortable claim. We like to imagine that our reasoning leads and our emotions follow. Much of the time, the order is reversed. A feeling appears first. Then, the mind becomes its lawyer. It selects facts. It builds a case. It turns discomfort into certainty. Greene calls this the law of irrationality, not because human beings are incapable of reason, but because rationality is not our automatic state. It is a practice. Without that practice, moods, wounds, and group pressure quietly decide what we will later defend as logic. Maya had not entered the meeting planning to attack Lena. She had entered with an old emotional sensitivity already waiting for a target. When Maya was 14, her mother became ill. Relatives praised Maya for being the strong one. Her younger brother could cry. Her father could disappear into work. Maya organized medication, cooked rice, and learned that usefulness kept chaos away. Years later, criticism of her work did not feel like information. It felt like the removal of the one quality that made her safe. This is what Greene calls an inflaming factor. Something in the present touches a trigger from the past, and the intensity of our reaction no longer matches the event in front of us. One useful clue is sudden childishness. We become unusually absolute. We need to win immediately. We cannot tolerate ambiguity. By 8:26, Maya was collecting evidence. She remembered every time Lena had raised a concern late. She forgot every time Lena's concern had prevented a mistake. That is confirmation bias. We search for what supports the feeling already inside us. She noticed how certain her own voice sounded and took that certainty as proof. That is conviction bias. The force of a belief begins to stand in for its accuracy. She told herself the crisis existed because research had failed to make a clear recommendation. That is blame bias. Assigning fault relieves the more painful task of examining our contribution. And underneath all three was superiority bias, the quiet assumption that we are more objective than the people disagreeing with us. Maya knew the names of these biases. She had read about them in management books. Knowledge did not protect her, because a bias is most dangerous when it feels like sight. The meeting ended without a decision. At 9:03, Lena sent Maya a private message. "What you said in that room damaged my credibility. We can disagree without rewriting what happened." Maya read it once, then again. Her face became hot. She typed, "What damaged your credibility was bringing an untested opinion into an executive meeting and presenting it as settled research. I have spent 18 months protecting this project from exactly this kind of last-minute panic." There was a moment, perhaps 2 seconds, when she could have stopped. Then she added Adrian to the message. Send. At home, 11-year-old June was standing behind a cardboard moon in the school auditorium, waiting for her name to be called. She had told Daniel not to text Maya again. "She'll come if she can," June said. Children often protect themselves with sentences that sound mature. Daniel looked at the empty seat beside him and understood the sentence differently. Back at Lumen, Adrian read Maya's message but did not respond. Lena did. "Understood. I'll document my recommendations through formal channels from now on." Polite words. A locked door. At 10:40, the largest pilot clinic requested a call. A nurse manager had seen confusion among families and wanted assurance that Lumen would pause enrollment. Maya joined the call, ready to defend the launch. She brought usage data, the legal review, and a slide showing that no information had been sold or shared. All of it was true. None of it answered the fear. The nurse manager said, "Our families don't need a courtroom argument. They need to feel that you understand why this language scares them." Maya explained the safeguards again. By noon, the clinic had suspended its pilot. Here is the emotional reversal. Maya believed the day's threat was Lena's overreaction. The real threat was Maya's need not to feel ashamed. She was not defending the product, she was defending an identity, the capable one, the prepared one, the person who does not miss things. And because she could not name the emotion named the enemy for her. An unnamed feeling will recruit facts to fight its war. Greene builds his model of rationality around Pericles, the Athenian statesman. In the book's account, Pericles was not emotionless. He was ambitious, proud, and fully human. His advantage was the distance he trained himself to create between stimulation and action. He considered the larger interests of Athens, resisted the crowd's most feverish impulses, and used patience as a political strength. After his death, Athens faced a different kind of leadership during the Peloponnesian War. Fear, pride, and the excitement of collective certainty pushed the city toward choices with consequences its citizens had not calmly examined. The lesson is not that intelligent people avoid emotion. It is that intelligence without emotional awareness becomes equipment for rationalization. The mind is a brilliant strategist and a terrible witness in its own emotional trial. At 12:17, Maya finally saw Daniel's photograph from the auditorium. June stood under a paper spotlight, holding a silver-painted star. She was not smiling at the camera. Beside the photograph was a message. She got the solo. She stopped looking at the door after the second song. Maya closed her office door. For the first time that day, no one was asking her to explain herself. Without an audience, the logic collapsed. She replayed the meeting. Adrian's question, Lena's lowered eyes, the pleasure she had felt when she found the sentence that could make the failure belong to somebody else. That pleasure disturbed her most. Greene suggests several disciplines for strengthening the rational self. Know the emotional patterns that repeatedly capture you. Notice the inflaming people and circumstances that make your reaction unusually intense. Accept that pressure, sudden loss, success, and the mood of a group can temporarily change who you become. Then increase your reaction time. Not forever. Long enough for the feeling to become visible. Maya opened a blank page and wrote 4 lines. What am I feeling? Humiliation. What triggered it? Adrian's question in front of Lena. What story did the feeling create? Lena is trying to prove I am incompetent. What action can wait? Every message I want to send. It was not a grand transformation. It did not restore the clinic. It did not put Maya in the auditorium seat she had left empty. Awareness is not a refund, but it changed her next action. She wrote to Lena, I made your warning about my embarrassment instead of the family's fear. Then I used my position to make you smaller in front of Adrian. I am sorry. I will not ask you to resolve this tonight. Tomorrow, if you are willing, I want to hear the part I refuse to hear. She did not copy Adrian. She did not explain her childhood. She did not add that the launch had been stressful for everyone. At 4:06, Lena replied, 10 tomorrow. 2 words are not forgiveness, but sometimes they are the first unlocked inch of a door. That evening, Maya arrived home with June's favorite noodles and an apology prepared. June hugged her, said it was fine, and asked whether she could eat in her room. Maya almost said, I told you this launch week would be difficult. She felt the sentence assemble itself. Then she let it pass. Rationality often looks unimpressive from the outside. It is a message not sent, a defense not offered, a night in which you allow another person's disappointment to exist without forcing them to comfort you. The pause does not erase the emotion. It stops the emotion from signing your name. Here is the practice for today. Before one important reply, take 90 seconds and write 4 things: the emotion, the trigger, the story, and the action that can wait. Do not ask whether your feeling is valid. Feelings are real. Ask whether the conclusion attached to it has earned the same certainty. You are not trying to become cold. You are trying to keep temporary heat from choosing a permanent direction. I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. If this story gave language to a decision you once regretted, subscribe and stay with us for the season. We are going to keep following Maya not because she has solved herself, but because seeing the first pattern creates a harder responsibility. She can no longer call it an accident. Tomorrow morning, Lena will sit across from her. Maya knows how to apologize. But does she know how to listen without turning another person's pain into a story about herself? Next episode teaser. Tomorrow, Lena will give Maya exactly what she asked for, the truth. But an apology can still be selfish when its real purpose is to make the apologizer feel forgiven. If Maya cannot stop listening for proof that she is a good person, she may lose the people who most need her to understand them.